Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening. Folks, thank you very, very much for listening. Date today's the 2nd of May, year of our Lord 2025. Welcome to yet another edition of the Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, a.k.a. Motown Noah. Late show for you guys today. It was a day late, as is customary. If there's ever an episode of the Coping Hour that is not in your feed on the day that you are expecting it, head over to the Motown Noah YouTube channel, check the community posts. I'll have always given you an update if there's an episode that's not going to happen or if it's going to be late. I tried to give you guys a heads up that I was not going to be able to get this episode in the can on time, but I knew we were going to do it today, and here we are. Pistons season, it's over. They lost to the Knicks in 6 on intentional rhyme. I do that from time to time. Dr. Seuss in this noose, and it's over. A Jalen Brunson crossover dagger through the heart to effectively end the series. And Detroit comes out of this one not winning a game at home. They had 3 opportunities to get a win in LCA. They weren't able to do it. We'll maybe talk a little bit more about the series itself at the end. I mean, we're going to be eulogizing the team today. I'm sure I that's probably the title of today's episode. Haven't figured that one out yet, but real-time Nick, probably a snappy eulogizing the 2024-2025 Pistons. That's what we're going to be doing today. So I don't really want to, do the series right off of the bat, but can I be honest with you about what was going through my head the moment that the Knicks had 20 seconds on the clock and they could take the lead and they could win the series, and you knew that they were going to hold for the last shot? I'm not trying to sound like LeBron, who was like, I knew Kobe was going for 81. I said it was going to happen. Everybody said, I saw him warming up, and I was like, he's gonna go for 80 today. I'm not trying to be like the LeBron, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be that guy, but I real life was saying out loud to my girlfriend, 20 seconds left on the clock, you know it's going to Brunson. I was saying to her, fuck, I'm living through one of those moments right now. I go, it's rare that you're able to identify it in real time. She's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I go, for the rest of my life, I will be thinking about what is about to happen. And she goes, oh, you don't know, maybe he'll miss the shot. Maybe. I'm like, no. Like, if Jalen Brunson was made in a lab, the reason that he was made was to perform in moments like that, right? In crunch time. He's the clutch player of the year this season. This is what Jalen Brunson was bred to do, is deliver in these moments. We're about to watch him do some shit. And I'm like, maybe it'll get, sent out to OG or something because the Pistons know that Brunson's going to want to ISO and get his shot, and maybe they send 2 bodies. It didn't happen. And Brunson, killer crossover, and then right between the eyes from straight away. That's the series. It was bizarre and as soon as he hit it, I went, yep. And that was, I wasn't like, fuck. I was just like, yeah. I watched it happen, and it was being telegraphed for 6 games, And I do think that I will think about that moment for the rest of my life, no matter how this whole, the Pistons being back on the upswing thing goes. I think, for better or for worse, I think this really is a defining moment in the Pistons' journey, and their ability to take the next step is suffering a defeat that is so crushing. You were, 2 minutes away from being able to force a Game 7 going back to Madison Square Garden. The Knicks go on like an 11-1 run, and it just is what it is. Right? At the end of the day, I think it just kind of is what it is. They outkicked their coverage this year, and they overperformed. And so if you really want to start the eulogy, you do have to go back about 365 days ago, right? When the Pistons win like 14 games. And we're kind of like, so what just happened? We just paid Monty Williams the most amount of money that a head coach has ever been paid in the history of basketball. A record that was very quickly surpassed by, I think it was Steve Kerr and then Popovich. I think those were the 2 coaches, but they, 2 different coaches. I think it was Kerr and Popovich again, got contract extensions, and then they became the highest paid coaches in the history of the NBA. But at the time that Monty Williams signed the contract to become the coach of the Pistons, he did hold that belt. And that guy won like a dozen games. What the hell just happened? Well, Tom Gore's got in the war room with his boys, namely like Arn Tellem probably, and they decided to fire Monty Williams. It was a defining moment, I think, in Tom Gore's tenure as the owner of the Pistons, because he was the one who overstepped and said, no, Troy Weaver, we can't go with what you want and hire Kevin Ollie. We're going to do the big swing that I want and throw a shit ton of money at Monty Williams, who at the time that the Pistons made that hire was like the hottest coach on the market. He was the best coach available, and the Pistons threw him a bag, and everybody was excited because for better or for worse, Tom Gores will open his checkbook, right? And it doesn't always work out, but he'll still do it, and that's not nothing. So they took a big swing. Troy Weaver did not get his way, but then he ended up having to sort of be part of the scapegoat 365 days ago. Monty Williams and Troy Weaver relieved of their duties. So then this coaching search begins, and it just takes forever. I mean, didn't they do the draft without a coach? By that point, we had hired Trajan Langdon away from the New Orleans Pelicans, a guy who, for the most part, had kind of existed in the shadows of the NBA executive world. You didn't really know that much about him, maybe unless you were a Pelicans fan. I think he was like an executive vice president or something. I don't remember what his, like maybe an assistant GM to David Griffin. I don't remember what he was doing with the Pelicans, personnel, or what, I don't know what he was doing, but we get him. We're like, okay, we'll see. Then we get Fred Vinson too. Was that his name? The shooting guru. He's basically like the Chris Fetter of basketball. Chris Fetter, for those who don't know, like the pitching coach god in baseball. The Tigers were able to get him, and that's worked out really well for them. And like Casey Mize just throwing the shit out of the ball this year. Tarek Skubal, I mean, he won a Triple Crown last year, won the Cy Young in the American League. So Chris Fetter worked. We get Fred Vinson from New Orleans. It's like, okay, so there's a staff that's forming here in Detroit. They do the draft. They still don't have a fucking coach. There are some rumors that are kind of going around, and you're like, so we might get JJ Redick, and they've contacted JJ Redick, and this has kind of been because there were also rumors. Stephen A. Smith was even talking on First Take about how like JJ Redick has moved on from the Lakers job, and people thought that, okay, so maybe that's not going to happen, and then it just kind of did, and JJ Redick, after all of the hoopla, ended up being the Lakers coach, and you're like, so who is Detroit getting? So who's going to be the coach? What was it, like the end of June? It was right before free agency started. JB Bickerstaff, recently dismissed by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Detroit goes after him. I think the response on this show, and sort of collectively by Pistons fans, was like, oh, okay. All right. I think the logic, like the best case scenario that we were thinking in our heads was like, well, JB took over a young Cavs team. They drafted well for a few years, and he sort of got them to the point that they needed to just get a different coach, and then they would be at a different level. Not like akin to Rick Carlisle getting fired by the Pistons and then bringing in a new coach that can take them to the next step. Or like when the Raptors fired Dwayne Casey after he won Coach of the Year, and then like 10 days later they fire him. Then they hire Nick Nurse, and then they win a championship. It's like sometimes you just need the next coach to take you to that level. That's why Monty Williams got hired, by the way. It was because Dwayne Casey, again, was at the point where it's like, okay, this team is ready to take the next step. We just need a new coach to do that, right? You bring in Monty Williams, and he completely derails the entire fucking thing. But, okay, JB Bickerstaff did that very effectively with the Cavs, getting them to the point where they were ready to take the next step with a really young team. So we were excited about it, but we were kind of like, who, you know what I mean? Like, okay, after what we just experienced with Monty Williams, maybe this will be fine. And then you do the shit in the offseason where you spend months hearing about these Tobias Harris rumors, something that you in some way have to give Troy Weaver credit for, because we were hearing those rumors like way before he got fired. Like if it was a year that we were like, keep an eye in the offseason, the 2024 offseason, we're probably going to get Tobias Harris. Oh, okay. That actually ended up materializing, by the way. So, okay, we're going to do a second stint with him. You also bring in like Tim Hardaway, and you're like, okay, well, we've kind of always heard these rumors. I mean, Pistons fans, how long has it been that there's been like hey, I don't know, keep an eye on this Tim Hardaway guy. Maybe the Pistons will make a move for him. And it never really materialized, and then suddenly it just kind of does, and he's on your team, and you're like, oh, okay. So the Pistons kind of finally taking advantage of Cade's playmaking and realizing that you can't just put veterans around him. You have to put veterans around him who can shoot. Okay, this is trending in the right direction. Kind of iffy guys, but at least they have playoff experience and have played on winning teams. And then you get Malik Beasley for like $5 million. Oh, whoa, you're rubbing your eyes like a damn Looney Tunes character. Okay, what are the Pistons doing here? I don't remember how we ended up with Paul Reed. I think it was weird. I think technically there was a point in the season where we released him for like 2 days, and then we ended up re-signing. It was a whole thing. You get Paul Reed, and Paul Reed's not like a vet, but he's been in the league for a couple of years. There's some experience there, and on good teams, I should say. And so, okay, Simone Fontecchio, we were still riding high off. I don't really want to lump him in with all of these vets that I'm talking about here, but you're like, okay, so you talk about like the Tobias Harrises of the world and the Tim Hardaways of the world and the Malik Beasleys. Those are the 3 oldest guys on the roster. Actually, that's not true. Dennis Schroeder is the other one that I'm forgetting here. You pick him up in the middle of the season. You talk about vets for the Detroit Pistons and the role that they played. It's really incalculable. Is that the right word here? Like just how valuable they ended up being for the Pistons this year, not just in the postseason, but in the regular season, and Cade and Asar and Jalen Duren and the young guys being able to lean on guys who again have played meaningful minutes before on winning teams, and they've played big games in the playoffs, and it just doesn't mean nothing, right? And so the 3 oldest guys on the roster, your 3 oldest vets, are Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, and Dennis Schroeder. And I don't know, those sort of ended up being the 3 most impactful guys in the season. Malik Beasley, 5th oldest at 28. I mean, he came in, he had 300 threes off of the bench this year. Like, you can talk about, you can get mad about Cade not being most improved. I'm not mad about it. Dyson Daniels should have won it. He deserved it. Great Barrier Thief was recently put on. I had never heard that until like a week ago. It was the coolest nickname. There we go. Nicknames are back in the NBA. The Great Barrier Thief, Dyson Daniels. Good for him. I think he should have won Defensive Player of the Year. We kind of did a halfway segment about this like an episode or 2 ago. I'm not mad that Evan Mobley won it. I like Evan Mobley a lot, so good for him. But I would have loved for like a guard/wing to win Defensive Player of the Year, because it's just always going to go to big men more often than not. And then especially once Victor Wembanyama doesn't have blood clots, it's going to go to the same guy for like 15 years, or at least like, 8 years, whatever it ends up being. Dyson Daniels, very, very good this season. The one thing that I was pissed about, though, was Malik Beasley not getting 6th man of the year. I just thought he deserved it. I just think hitting 300 threes off of the bench. If Anthony Edwards didn't cheat in game 82 of the season, Malik would have led the league in threes. And so I don't think that's nothing. And especially given the turnaround that the Pistons had, they tripled their win total, and, they're over 500 for the first time in 100 years. And I don't know. I just thought maybe a big catalyst in that deserved a little bit more recognition. Or at the very least, they could have put him in the 3-point contest instead of Cade. With all due respect, I was so happy to see Cade in there. Just like, just being there. Just like, oh, there's Cade, in the 3-point contest. But like, I don't know. It probably should have been Malik Beasley. Man, it's Simone Fontecchio, 29 years old. Like, maybe you can lump him in with the vets, but for all intents and purposes, it's just not really the same thing. And then, okay, you talk about the veterans and the impact that they had this season, and how integral they were to all the success. But all of the young guys taking that next step, and it transcends Cade. I mean, we could the next 45 minutes we could just talk about Cade, but. At this point, we all kind of know what it is, what it was, what it has been with Cade, and that he is a superstar. He's one of the 10 best players in the world this season, right? So him just continuing to prove that is good. I mean, he could not do that, and he is. You know what I mean? But instead of not doing it, he just is proving that, like, no, I do this thing. I really do this thing. And probably gonna be, what do you think? 2nd team All-NBA. Made an all-star team this year, did not get most improved, and not really here I don't really want to open that whole can of worms. I'll be here for 10 minutes doing it. But yeah, Cade, he was just the world eater that we needed him to be this year. But then you also think about guys like Asar Thompson and the leap that he took, or Jalen Duren, especially in the series against the Knicks. In that game 6, just how effective he was from the line. Like, he started, I think it was 8 of 8, maybe it was 7 of 7. But just a huge body. The height of your average freeway overpass, Jalen Duren, and Ron Holland. It's a tough situation to come into if you're Ron Holland, just in the sense of, like, there are a lot of guys on this team who are, like, really trying to prove some shit. And it took Ron Holland less than a year for us to be like, that's an NBA player, and that's a guy who's willing to die for his teammates. And in this organization, in the Pistons organization, that's not nothing, right? I think it does suck a lot. Also, Isaiah Stewart, just being the enforcer that he is, and just everybody, man, across the board. like, you think about all of these guys, and the one thing that Troy Weaver did extraordinarily well was draft players. And so you think about this pantheon of all of the guys that Troy Weaver drafted, right? Who is the best player? It is Cade, right? But if you take Cade out of the equation, because he was the number one pick. You know, you could have taken anybody, and you took the guy who everybody said that should go number one. Turns out that they're right. I'm not rewriting history. There was definitely a conversation about, like, should it be Jalen Green? Should it be Evan Mobley that goes number one? But everybody ended up kind of coming to the same conclusion. It has to be Cade, right? You don't give Troy that much credit for that. But out of all the people that he drafted, out of all the players, yes, it is Cade. But the question is, like, okay, so who's second? Who's after that? I don't know. I really don't know. So who would it be? It would be Cade, Saddiq Bey. Saddiq Bey's not here anymore. Isaiah Stewart. You could make a case if you wanted to. Saben Lee not here anymore. Isaiah Livers, not here anymore. Jaden Ivey. You could make a case for Jaden Ivey. Jalen Duren. You could make a case for Jalen Duren if you want. Asar Thompson. You know what I mean? Like, there are just so many. He drafted really, really well. And in the back half of that series, were you kind of like, is it Asar? Is Asar the second best player out of all these guys? I think it's Duren right now. And then, it sucks so bad that Stu just missed the series, basically. Essentially just missed the entire series. He played 3 quarters of game 1, and that was really it. And he wasn't even fully healthy for those 3. Man, it just sucks. It's so hard. And so it's hard not to just be the corny, like, man, don't be sad that it's over, smile because it happened kind of guy for the Pistons this season. But as the great Pistons YouTuber Kofi put it recently, this is the worst that the Pistons are going to be for a while. And so that's kind of what you know what I mean? You're kind of like, well, yeah. It's like we said at the top of this, like, for better or for worse, this is a pivotal moment in this Pistons upswing. No matter how it ends, this is sort of foundationally where this is a building block, what just happened against the Knicks, very much so. And, you know, again, a team that it triples their win total and goes from the worst team in the NBA, but still picking 5th, by the way, in the lottery. Worst team in the NBA for like 3 straight years. Picked 5th in the lottery like twice? 3 times, maybe? We picked 1, 7, in no particular order. 1, 5, 7, 7, 5. Was there 2 5s or 2 7? I think it was 2 5s because Jaden Ivey was 5, and then Asar was 5. Was Holland 5? I don't remember. Killian was 7. Cade was 1. And then like Stu and Saddiq. Well, we traded. That was in the lottery though. It was in the teens, mid to late teens for both of those guys. I think Jalen Duren, I think, was 13th or 14th. I don't know, man. I'm just so like, damn, they're like, wow, that was a good team and probably the best season that I've seen a Pistons team have in 20 years. And they've been to the conference finals more recently than 20 years, but just in terms of their ability to get you to believe in them. And it's like, so what was the point in the season maybe where I officially was like, this is happening. This is real, right? It would have happened earlier than this, but I think a big moment for me was just like 2 months ago. It was either right before or right after the All-Star break. National TV against Miami. They get flexed into that game. They were not supposed to be on ESPN. But then the league and, I don't know, major network ESPN was like, hey, they flexed out like Minnesota versus Phoenix or something like that. And they're like, what if we put the Pistons on TV? Because they're kind of on a rocket right now. Cade has a triple-double and then wins the game at the buzzer. Yeah. Big moment. On the road? Yeah. It was a big moment. I don't know. Just something about the national TV bump, I think, is all that it was. And Cade, you know, showing on a national scale that, yeah, he's that guy. And this team is for real. Again, by that point, we had already kind of been like, yeah, they're going to the playoffs for sure. And this turnaround is insane. And like, who knows how this is going to end? Like, what a rocket this team's on. But that did a lot for me. And man, I'm just excited. I'm just excited for the future. Because that ends up being the question, right? Is when you talk about this Pistons season. And I spent 20 minutes on it, but I somehow feel like I blitzed through it a little bit too fast. not really focusing on any individual moments this season. But the question now becomes like, okay, so what is the next step for the Pistons? We've got a lot of emails about this since the buzzer sounded. Game 6, Pistons versus Knicks. Big ass rhyme there. I do that from time to time, Dr. Seuss in this news. So what is it this offseason? I mean, we've spent 2 years talking about wait until the stars align and then Devin Booker comes to town. Look, I talk about it a lot, and a lot of the time it's forced. This really is the time for me to start having this conversation, though, is like if you look back at the way that the Pistons played against the Knicks, one easy takeaway that you could come away with, I believe that this is objective fact, and so you wonder how much it matters in terms of what the Pistons do this season. Trajan Langdon would have had to have acknowledged this. That being, the Pistons' second scoring option is very much like a by committee type situation, right? Where normally you think about contending teams, and if you're the Celtics, some of you are going to be like, well, it's 1A and 1B. But just arbitrarily, you're like, 1 is Jason Tatum, 2 is Jaylen Brown. If you're the Knicks, 1 is Jalen Brunson, 2 is Karl Anthony Towns. Right? You have, boom, these are our 2 guys. With Detroit, this really got, I don't want to say exposed, because I don't think that's the right word, but a light was shown on it in the Knicks series. It was Cade 1, and then it was like 2A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know what I mean? And what sucks if you're a Pistons fan and you're thinking about like, okay, so do they do something drastic this year? Do they make a Devin Booker trade where you would have to involve like Jaden Ivey? Well, what sucks about that is you just didn't get the chance to see what Jaden Ivey looks like in that food chain in these completely different games, right? It's one thing to do it in the regular season where before he got hurt, before Cole Anthony was a little motherfucker and ruined Jaden Ivey's season, ended his season. You could make the argument that there was some like my turn, your turn stuff with him and Cade, but I think a lot of it kind of fell back to the Pistons starting to just get their bearings as a team and like relying on the vets. So I don't know. I guess by the time that the Knicks series came around was the best case scenario that Jaden Ivey took on more of a definitive 2 role and not like a 2A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? But you don't know that now. And I don't know, like, do you take the gamble of, we don't really know, like, we could trade Jaden Ivey for a guy who could be our number 2, but I just don't think he would have been in this series, even if he was completely healthy the entire year and Cole Anthony, like, didn't have a pulse and that didn't happen and the injury didn't happen, right? I just don't know if the season would have evolved, but you don't know. You just can't, like, you could go through the hypothetical, but that's the tricky thing about this is you're taking a big gamble, right? Either you're betting that Jaden Ivey is not going to be a definitive number 2, a potential all-star at some point, maybe make a third-team All-NBA, just like a lights-out, world-eating scorer next to Cade Cunningham. Do you want to take that gamble and roll the dice on that, or do you want Devin Booker, who, like, you already know that all of that shit is true? And yeah, he's a little bit older, but not like old. I'm just saying older than Jaden Ivey, right? He makes a lot more money, like a lot of money. And you would also have to send out some other guys, and you'd have to send out some capital. And okay, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's not Devin Booker. The truth is, even if I think still that is the best case scenario for Detroit, I don't know. I just think Houston really holds the cards in this whole situation. And it comes down to, do they want him or do they not? If they want him, I just think they're going to get him, and I think Houston will be able to outbid anybody. And if they are the ones who say, we want Devin Booker, then they're going to get him. But if Houston says no, maybe it costs too much, or maybe they're just not interested. Maybe something else materializes, right? There's going to be a lot of players available this summer. Some we are currently aware of or have a decent idea that they could be. And others, you know how this goes in the NBA. Others, you have no idea that they're going to be available, right? But there's going to be a lot of movement and a lot of action this summer, 100%. And you would imagine Houston will get involved in that. If they say no, Orlando, I think maybe Orlando is above Detroit still. I think it goes Houston 1, Orlando 2 in terms of does it make the most sense and what do they have to offer? I just think Houston obviously has more than both of them, but I think Orlando has the second most juice out of both of the teams, right? I don't know. Do you want Anthony Black? I don't know. Do you want Jalen Suggs? Do you want, I don't know, name a guy. You like Jett Howard? I don't know. Name a guy. We're the Magic. We don't care. I don't know what their draft pick situation, what their capital situation is looking like, but off the top of my head, I would imagine it's looking good because Orlando makes their picks. I mean, look at the way that they've built their team. You're just like, wait, you drafted all of these guys except like Goga Bitadze and Bizdati? Bizdati? Which one is it? Two completely different pronunciations of the last name. I don't remember which. Goga. You got him from the Pacers, or did he just sign there as a free agent? And then like KCP. Okay. Everybody else, they just drafted them. So I imagine I just think Orlando would be second. But I think that would be the ideal outcome for Detroit. So who else does it end up being, right? I don't know. But I think it has to be. It doesn't have to be. But the ideal scenario is that it's somebody who you can look at and say, you are the number 2 to Cade Cunningham's number 1. And we know this going into the playoffs, right? This is the vision. Do you want Jaren Jackson? I've seen it floated out there. I don't know. Maybe. You want to put him in. Because you could look at it through the double big lens. How that's the meta now in the NBA. Sneaky. That's kind of that's the direction that we've headed, right? Lot of people sending emails about this. Even Kendrick Perkins was talking about it. Giannis to Detroit? Let me tell you this right now. That's not happening. That's insane. It's shocking to me that some people are even, that this could happen. No. Detroit could not put together an offer that I don't think Milwaukee would be even interested in. It wouldn't work. Also, the amount of people who want to get in on the Giannis sweepstakes, I just think should pump the brakes, check their privilege a little bit, because John Horst has done nothing but be loyal to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Do you not imagine that where Giannis wants to go privately, that will be communicated? I don't think Giannis is the type of person, unless Milwaukee does something fucked up and they sandbag and they're doing something weird behind the scenes. I don't think Giannis is going to come out and put out some stealth word or just very overtly say, send me to this team. I just don't, that would be so out of character for him. And I don't, or maybe it won't happen. I don't know. He's been loyal this whole time too. But I'm just saying, if we're doing the Giannis getting traded thing, I think something's going to happen behind the scenes where it's communicated to John Horst, please send me here, or here. So like Toronto fans you're not getting Giannis. You're not getting him, right? I saw Portland try to throw Portland on subreddit, trying to get some Portland on subreddit. The Blazers subreddit trying to throw some shit together about that. I don't know. There have been some rumors about like Brooklyn, but I don't know. Detroit, it's not good. There's just no way. I don't know what they do. But if you look at the payroll, the question could also be, who do they bring back if you're Detroit, right? Because guys who are going to be free agents this season, Tim Hardaway Jr., can be a free agent this summer? I don't know. Made $16 million this year. I think it would make sense to bring him back, but I would put him as like a B priority. The A priority is Malik Beasley, who again made $6 million this season. He made 300 three-pointers. He made $6 million this season. That's the return on investment. The value there is insane, and has only been effective in his communication, saying, please don't let me go anywhere else. Please bring me back. Give him 3 years. I don't care. Give Malik Beasley 3 years. I don't care. He wants to be here. He fits the culture, and he hits his shots. Bring Malik Beasley back. Bring Malik Beasley back. Everybody in agreement on that one, in unison. He's the A priority. Additionally, Dennis Schroeder. Yeah, sure. That's fine. Because at worst, you just do something with him at the deadline or something. Everybody can always use him. But also, he was so good in the playoffs for Detroit this year. And in the regular season, like just since he got here, since he got to Detroit, Dennis Schroeder was incredible. He was fine. I mean, he was good. He wasn't incredible. Sometimes he was. I don't know. Was it game 2 that he hit the shot to win the game? That's not a shot that any other Piston in my life we just don't hit those shots. The teams that I root for just don't hit the shots that Dennis Schroeder hit, and I think game 2 to win the game, just never goes our way. You know what I mean? Anybody can relate to that as a fan. Just good shit never happening to you. Even when it does, you're like, whoa, but it's just different. It's never different until it doesn't happen to you. And then you're like, oh, good shit never happens to us. Yeah, it doesn't. But Dennis Schroeder was a good thing, and I don't know, if he wants to come back again, the right price, I'm not going to say no. I'd put him at B priority. B priority. Him and Tim Hardaway. Malik Beasley at an A+. Paul Reed, I don't care. Played such big minutes in the playoffs for Detroit. Such big minutes. Really stepped up. Whether it was, guys getting in foul trouble, like Jalen Duren picking up 2 or 3 quick fouls, and you're like, fuck. And then they bring in Paul Reed, and even if he eats 5 fouls, you're like, that's fine, because that's fine. That's fine. But he was good on the boards, and I don't know, Isaiah Stewart being injured for the entire series. Paul Reed was needed. He was a necessity, and he came through. He delivered in a major way. So if you're able to get him back on a contract, don't imagine it'll be that hard to do it. Then sure. Who else is there? I mean, that's it. That's literally it for Pistons free agents. We got some team options and stuff like that, but Sasser, they're going to pick that up if they haven't already, and Ivy, I'm assuming they've already picked all of these up. It was months ago, and I probably didn't pay attention to it, but Sarge, everybody's going to come back, except for like 3 vets. And then how much money are they going to have this summer? Probably around $30 million, somewhere between like $28 and $30 million, I think, in cap. I haven't even looked at the free agents, to be honest with you, because that's just not where shit happens in the NBA anymore. Like, free agency is very 5 years ago in the NBA. You just do all of the cool shit via trade, because nobody, like, the good players don't make it to free agency anymore, because the second that they're eligible for a $200 million contract, they pen it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no getting to free agency. And so I haven't looked, and I'm sure there are some names that are cool, but, like, I don't really care. As it stands, the Pistons don't have a first-round pick. You know what I mean? Which is great. Finally. Now we have the flexibility to actually trade future ones. We've been waiting for this one to convey for 5 years at this point almost. So, yeah, about literally 5 years at this point. So finally, the Pistons don't have a first-round pick. Thank God. They have, like, I think 1 in the second. I don't know. Maybe you do something weird and Sasser gets shipped out and you draft Tyrese Proctor and, Sasser is in the Devin Booker deal or something like that. I don't know. But I think, it's not a matter of, like, the team needs to get blown up, but you do want to stay aggressive in pursuit of the ultimate goal. And that is something that I expect this team to do. The Detroit Pistons season is over, but I mean, all of the thumbs up, literally all of the thumbs up. You could not have asked for a better year, for a better turnaround as fans, just what it means to have a team that will die on the floor and really set the tone in a major way and just be the identity of the fans themselves. And I think JB Bickerstaff, remember like 8 months ago when the season was starting and you hear this thing, no hoodies in practice. JB Bickerstaff is taking a stance against hoodies in practice. He's like, anything that covers your head, take that shit off. We're not doing that in practice. We're tone setting around here. And I think we said on this show at the time, like, either this blows up in his face or this ends up being hilarious in a year when he gets fired, or this is the start of, oh, okay, they're taking this shit seriously. It was the latter. Wow, 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 wow. Air horns. It was the latter. The Pistons are good. The Detroit Pistons were really, really good this year. Coping Hour subs at gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. I should have said this, man. I should have led with this at the top of this. The flowers that are sitting next to me. Not intended for the eulogy. That did end up working out really nicely, though. The flowers are because I got paid from my little, just the little editing I do on the side for Jacob, aka Rusty Buckets. Got paid from doing that every month that I get paid. I like to do something nice for Maddie, and what I decided to do for her this time, I just bought her flowers. But the problem was that I didn't know they were minis. They were mini carnations. Did not know that until they got to it. I did not read when I ordered them. I was like, oh, those are really pretty. I was like, and those are cheap. I was like, whoa, it must be a little sale or something. It's because they were small. It's because they were mini carnations. And so these are just on the desk because this is now where she works during the day. My little workstation is now where she works during the day. And so she just kept the flowers on her desk. And so now they're just here. If you're not able to watch, there's some beautiful flowers sitting next to me. When I was coming up in the elevator and I was holding flowers and peanut M&Ms, both for her, somebody was in the elevator with me. They said, "Uh-oh, what'd you do?" The fuck? What did I do? I said, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "Oh, you got those flowers. You did something." No. It's actually, I'm just doing the opposite. I'm just doing something really nice, just out of the kindness of my heart. She's like, and then I bring him to Maddie, and she's like, "Oh, what is this all for?" But like, she's all emotional and happy. She's like, "I wasn't expecting this. This is so nice." Caught her so off guard. She was like, I've talked about this before, as materialistic as I am. I think she was panicking because she didn't have anything for me. I just caught her off guard so hard with these flowers. I just made her knees slap together. Nice peanut M&Ms. I didn't have to do that. I just did. But okay, it's a little bit of a sidetrack there. So I was going to do a little bit of a segment here where how do I set this up? We like to cover all of the biggest stories, and we like to cover them from all angles on this show. But sometimes there are things that are happening in our culture across the globe that I don't have time for them. And I think a good way to start the segment, stories I don't have time for anymore, would be the one that we have, without question, gotten the most emails about this week, which is the very viral debate, 100 men versus a gorilla, who would win. You guys just cannot stop emailing me about this. At least 15. Producer extraordinaire Rudy Sinclair sent me a text about this the other day. He goes, I gotta know what you think about this. I don't have fucking time for this at all. I'm an adult man. I don't care about this. I don't care. Especially because it feels a little bit like stolen valor, to be honest with you. A year ago, a lot of you actually included this in your emails, which I do appreciate. We did this debate like a year ago in a similar fashion. We spent 3 goddamn episodes, about a year ago right now, actually. If you just like do the math and you go back, 3 episodes talking about who would win between a grizzly bear and a silverback gorilla. You talk about civil wars on this show, that one got the most violent. Because I am still in the camp that a gorilla what happens when the gorilla gets behind the bear? There's literally nothing that a bear can do if a gorilla gets behind it. So many of you were just night and fucking day sending me emails that a grizzly bear would win, and I think that you guys are wrong. So if we introduce a human component to the 100, fighting a gorilla debate, 100 guys, yes, men are winning, people are winning, and it's like, well, one of Rudy's points was, well, what happens if there are, some of the people in there don't really want to fight the gorilla, and so those people, they're not going to be dedicated. And I'm like, dog, we're taking volunteers, not hostages, all right? If you're in the ring, you're there because you fucking signed up. 100 people? Yes, everybody's made the joke at this point that, oh, damn, we're going to have to build a statue for the first 5 people that go at that gorilla. Yeah, because they're going to get fucking murdered. It's going to be like Pedro Pascal in Game of Thrones, the way that he died. That's going to be the first few people that charge the gorilla. But dog, like if you get behind a gorilla, it's asleep. It's asleep on the ground in 5 minutes. What's the circumference of a gorilla's neck? A basketball? It's 2 at most. It's just going to bed. Like, I have fucking NyQuil in my arms. That shit is going to sleep. Don't let me get behind the gorilla. 100 people, 50 would do it. 50 would do it. Dog, I was just at the zoo. I was just there. Don't gaslight me and be like, oh, Nick, you have no concept. You got to see these fuckers up close. I see these fuckers up close constantly. The zoo in Chicago is free. You can go right up to the glass and fucking shake your hands around and fucking... God damn it, I was on such a roll and I don't have a joke. I don't have a joke. I see them all the time, okay? I size them up all the time. 50 people dedicated to the cause would do the trick. Fuck 100. That's crazy. Half it and split the money. Crazy. If you were to do like the only angle on this, by the way, that is even remotely interesting to me is like if you did a World Cup style guerrilla fighting, what country has the best chance, right? Is it America? I don't know. Maybe it's America in the sense that we, like, our nation's identity, despite how certain people may lead you to believe is not like white and blonde and blue haired. It is like very much a cultural melting pot in America. So you just have so many people who maybe ancestors originated in different parts of the world. And so I don't know, America would have an interesting chance. There are no firearms allowed, of course, in this arena. And so that's maybe where America gets knocked down a peg or two. If there were firearms allowed, America would be in good shape. I think like Colombia would be in good shape too. Argentina would be an interesting competitor in this World Cup of guerrilla fighting, just because they're already all of them are unemployed. All of them. Every single Argentinian man, woman, and child is currently unemployed. And it's always been that way. They've just always been that way. So, like, what else are they doing? They'd have a lot of time to train for it, is I think maybe what I'm getting at here. I don't know. You want to pick, like, an Asian country? Like, if you picked China, at least China has a lot of practice with, like, genetically engineering and modifying people. So if you just 3D print 100 Yao Mings, yeah, probably, right? But what's the average Chinese person? 5'5"? There's no way. No. What's funny, though, is North Koreans are probably the same way. But it's just in terms of their stature. But I think that they're probably more willing to die for the shit if the supreme leader, Kim Jong-un, is like, hey, man, because you could tell them anything. You could literally tell North Korean soldiers fucking anything, and they will believe it. They could be like, that gorilla is the president of the United States, and if you kill that gorilla, then North Korea is king of the world. Now we get America. And what they have no concept of geopolitics at all. They could be like, maybe a monkey is the United States, is the president of the United States. Because the shit that they're probably told about us anyways is probably, you know what I mean? It's probably of that same ilk anyways. So I don't know. There is video of the way that they fight in I was gonna say in Ukraine. It's technically in Russia, in Kursk. But like, it's been some conjecture on if they've ever actually been in Ukraine or not. The point being, you see them in being included in these meat waves sent at Ukrainians. I don't know, man. There's just kind of a different edge to some of these North Korean soldiers. So maybe, I spent a lot of time talking about them, so maybe they do have a better chance than what I was thinking of. Ultimately, it would probably just go to some Scandinavian country. Norway, Sweden, Iceland. Iceland would have a really good chance. Those motherfuckers, they just have 100 versions of the mountain. We just talked about Pedro Pascal dying. It was at the hands of the mountain. So there you go. He was probably Icelandic. He was something Nordic, Scandinavian. Pick a goddamn synonym. I don't care. The Viking fuckers from one of those countries would probably end up getting the edge against the gorilla. I just don't have time for this. Not an interesting, despite the fact that I just spent 5 to 7 minutes talking about it. I just don't have time for it. What's another thing a story I don't have time for right now? This explosion in Iran. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? I don't know at this point. Was it a week ago? Was it earlier this week? There's a port, like a harbor in Iran. Massive explosion. At the time of this taping, the numbers are something to the effect of over 1,000 injured and a couple dozen dead, maybe like 70 some odd people killed in this explosion. I've only seen one angle of this thing, a video taken on somebody's phone of the actual explosion. Pretty violent. It was a very, very violent explosion. And you spend the first maybe 2 days of this story, what could have caused this? We're still trying to get to the bottom of what caused this explosion in Iran. Why? Wait a minute, hold on. So the country that for my entire life, was born in 1998, my entire life, what I know about Iran is that the United Nations and the United States has been trying to nuclearly de-arm Iran. And they're like, stop trying to build fucking bombs. Stop. And Iran is like, no. Why does everybody else get to do it? And everybody else is like, well, we dismantled a lot of ours and we took a lot of hours out of action. I mean, yeah, we do still have some, but like we stopped, we got most of them out. We threw most of them away. And Iran is like, fuck that. We're going to build some bombs. And then this mysterious explosion happens in Iran. What the fuck could have caused this, right? And I was mostly being tongue in cheek about it. Well, I don't know. There's been sort of an 11th hour. Maybe I do care about this because this is funny. Did you guys see that Israeli general who just for no reason at all was like, maybe the IDF was involved? That would be funny if we were, right? I mean, I don't think that we were, but maybe we were. And everybody's like, huh? He's like, yeah, I don't know. Just like hypothetically, What if it was rocket fuel that was being targeted at that, again, port? I don't know what it is, in Iran, and hypothetically the IDF received intelligence about the location of that rocket fuel, but maybe if that was me in that situation, we would have targeted it with like missiles or some form of explosive ordnance. Hypothetically, maybe it was the IDF. So it was Israel that did it. That would be, that'd be an interesting wrinkle. What was the whole thing recently where Israel was like, we want to fuck up Iran, or was it Yemen? They wanted to bomb somebody. And Trump was like, don't do that. That would suck. Please don't do that. I swear it was Iran. I don't know. You got India and Pakistan going back and forth at each other. Conflict. I don't think I care about the Iranian explosion though. That's about all I have on it. I don't know. What's another story that I just don't have time for right now? Gotten a couple emails about this. I'm not going to read any of them. I don't care. I don't care about it. Kanye and his cousin. You seen that? You heard about that? For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, yes, Kanye West, the ongoing, maybe almost 10-year mental health crisis that he has been having very publicly on the internet for, it's not quite 10 years, but I don't know, 8 or 9 years maybe. It's not over. He just kind of like tweeted the other day that he, until he was 14 years old, fellatiated his younger cousin and used to, like, I don't know, show him like porno mags. And then, yeah, he would just, help him out when he was showing him okay. He's like, I did that till I was 14. Okay. Sounds good. Don't care. You wonder why that motherfucker stole your laptop then. I guess maybe we finally got the answer to that. We spent all these years, you fat motherfucker, Kanye West talking about, my cousin stole my laptop. Well, I guess we know why. You stopped giving him head, and he couldn't get it from this. I'm sorry, Grandma. This is the story. I hate to have to report this. This is literally the story. That must be why he got the laptop stolen. And I tell you, as maybe a B story to the whole Kanye West thing, they're not related in any way. But you just talk about sex and people being in the news for sex. This Shannon Sharpe case, I don't care about this at all. I guess it's interesting the way that it unfolded at first was because Shannon Sharpe basically spent a week saying that he was being extorted by an OnlyFans model. And he was like playing lawyer for himself to social media. It was very strange because if he had any legal representation, you would have thought that everything that he was posting on social media would be like hey, shut up. Stop fucking, don't say anything. Stop talking on Instagram Live. He wasn't talking on Instagram Live, but he's like making Instagram posts being like, I fucked you for 8 minutes on camera and you're going to release 30 seconds of that to make me look bad? Release the whole 8 minutes. Whoa! No, Shannon Sharpe. We just had a video of you having sex come out like 6 months ago. And now he's publicly saying, post the full video of us having sex on the internet. Now, as of this taping, the most recent development in that front is that the woman is not going to release the video because it will instead be used as evidence in court, so that will stay private. Listen, I don't care if Shannon Sharpe did whatever it is being alleged. I don't. It seems like maybe one of those BDSM relationships potentially gone wrong, or maybe he did something wrong. I don't care. Because at some point, brother, I can't be involved in your fucking sex shenanigans twice in 1 year. It can't happen. Sometimes it happens. I don't know, you're old and you accidentally open up Instagram Live. This is where he was actually on Instagram Live while you're having sex with a woman and you fat fingered some stuff and okay, accidents happen, I guess. It's kind of like when Draymond in 2016, they were in Rio for the Summer Olympics and he accidentally posted a picture of his penis on his Snapchat story. Accidents happen. We were involved with Draymond Green sexually as a culture for one instance. It happened one time, then it never happened again, and we all moved on. It happened with LeBron. I mean, he pulled his penis out in the middle of the NBA Finals for all of America, for all of the world to see. It happened once, and we moved on. But Shannon Sharpe, I can't continue to be involved in this, and the fact that you are involving me in whatever fucking public shaming kink this is leads me to believe that you might be guilty, and so I just don't think that I have time for it anymore. And if you talk about relationships, if I get one more damn email about this, Bill Belichick, the greatest coach in the history of American football, is the subject of elderly abuse, maybe. If you didn't see this, potentially like a seeking arrangements type of relationship that we have between Bill Belichick and this younger woman who I guess in the last year has purchased like $10 million worth of real estate. We don't know where that money's coming from. Some people have speculated that it's Bill. She's like in control of what he does with like his time and like his schedule at North Carolina. I don't care. I don't care. Okay, Bill Belichick is getting like not extorted, but taken advantage of by this younger woman, and I'm like, okay, maybe he is. I don't, I don't know. I just don't think I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Oh, the takes that have, it's so sad to see this happen to Bill Belichick and him being acutely unaware of what's happening to him. Bill Belichick having sex with a 20-year-old, I don't think I just, you know what I mean? I just feel like he's probably in that relationship because he wants to be in that relationship. You could do the age gap thing and you could be like, this is fucked up and this is really weird and like this should not be normalized as a society. If you want to do that, you can, but I don't know. There's clearly an exchange of something happening here, and I feel like he's in this relationship because he wants to be in this relationship, and he's not that old. He's not the one that has CTE. I don't think it's just as a coach, and I mean, he played before, but you know what I mean? I just feel like if maybe maybe it's not like we met in Miami and, you know, she's like, oh, I get an allowance from Bill Belichick. I don't know. Maybe it's not one of those relationships, and maybe we're all just being a bit naive as a culture. But also I would say if it was, that's sort of my point here, is even if it was, and sort of a sugar daddy situation here with Bill Belichick, okay, fair play by Bill Belichick. That is a woman who is an entrepreneur, and it just so happens that the thing that she sells is herself. That's fine. I don't know. Maybe it's not good behavior, but I don't care about it. I would also argue it's at worst medium behavior. I don't know. Don't sell yourself short. Maybe she's I don't know. Some women are just sort of socialites. You know, there aren't that many men who like climb the ladder of the global elites just by being socialites. Women have a better hit rate with that. Like Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah, she sex trafficked a bunch of children, but like she was you know what I mean? She didn't do anything. She was just friends with famous people. That was literally her whole deal. She didn't, you know what I mean? Her dad was like her dad founded something expensive. I don't remember what it was. She just her whole life just didn't have to do anything. She just did. So I don't care about the Bill Belichick story. I don't care about that. Was there anything else that I wrote down that I don't particularly care about? Yeah, one more thing. A lot of stories this week that I don't care about and I don't have anything to say about. Tyrese Haliburton's dad, I don't give a shit. I don't care. What he did, if you didn't see, the series ends between the Bucks and the Pacers, and John Haliburton, father of Pacers superstar point guard Tyrese Haliburton, comes onto the floor waving a towel around and gets in Giannis's ass a little bit. And they're face to face, and Giannis is just kind of taking it and like kind of doing the very admirable thing, that being not killing John Haliburton. It sort of feels like maybe the one guy in the NBA who has the temperament to just like not kill him. I mean, it was that people already forgot that it was this year that Joel Embiid tried to kill a journalist. You remember that? It was like December. Marcus Hayes. Didn't we just fucking talk about this in an episode? We may have just talked about this. Maybe I don't remember if we did or not. But like Marcus Hayes was talking about Joel Embiid's family in a column that he wrote. And Joel Embiid shoved him. He just pushed him. He didn't actually try to kill him. He just gave him a little push. Giannis could have killed him. He could have done that. Yeah. He didn't, though. But I don't know. Yeah, it probably wasn't the right thing for John Haliburton to do. It's like, hey, I don't know. But now he's kind of been softly banned from attending any Pacers games for probably the rest of the playoffs. I bet if they make it to the finals, somehow he'd be allowed to come back, right? But I don't care if he does. It doesn't matter. They'll make us. If the first game that he comes back, if for some reason it's in these playoffs, which again, unless they make it to the finals, would just be surprised. That's not a story. This isn't a story. Maybe a little bit though, just in terms of like, what is the angle? I think it's that I don't give a shit about it. I don't care. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. You know, we did a segment about the Pistons getting eliminated, not necessarily about them getting eliminated. But another team that got eliminated that maybe we could do a little bit of a highlight on, Lakers. They got killed in 5. By the Wolves. Yikes. Rudy Gobert, single-handedly putting the Lakers to sleep. Whoa. We got an email here from a Lakers fan, from Emily. Emily, welcome to the show. Subject line, thank you, fans. For 3 postseasons in a row, the Lakers have lost to teams that have real centers that can run a double big lineup. We lost to Jokic twice, and I believe that dumbass Rob Pelinka looked at our failures and thought, well, we lost to the best player in the world. What am I supposed to do? What will he say after losing to the Wolves? We had issues with center play for 4 years. We lost Dwight Howard and replaced him with AD, who famously wanted to be a power forward. Now that AD is gone, we have wife-beater Jackson Hayes, rookies, and Maxi Kleber, who rose from the dead as our centers for the foreseeable future. Not only does Jackson Hayes beat women in his spare time, he also has the basketball IQ of a plastic bag drifting through the wind. I think the corpse of DeAndre Jordan would help us more than Hayes at this point. Rob Pelinka saw our struggles at center and sat on his hands. We traded D'Lo 1 year too late and had to trade him and 3 seconds for Brooklyn's scraps. The only good trade following the Westbrook fiasco fell into his lap. I'm tired of this man committing basketball terrorism. He doesn't do shit. I will riot if somehow Rob manages to snag a disgruntled Giannis instead of an OKC or Houston. The NBA has changed. Elite point guards don't mean what they used to. Bigs have had a resurgence. You build your team around Jokic and not Jamal Murray. Build around Wemby and not Devin Vassell. Giannis and not Dame. Teams that do build around guards like Minnesota and the Knicks gave their guards usable bigs. Even Dallas brought Luka, Gafford, and Lively. Atlanta is in basketball purgatory since they won't trade Trae Young. This is a long email. This is a long fucking email. I didn't remember how long this was. I'm going to skip to the last paragraph. I remember when I was first buying a car and the salesman told me that Rob Pelinka drove a Ford Focus, and I immediately turned down a test drive because I hate that man. Also, I'm pretty sure he drives a Tesla, so it wasn't even true. I think this is a very interesting perspective of Rob Pelinka, because while everybody else has been busy being like, damn, but they got Luka, though. You kind of just have to make him the executive of the year because he did that. You have Emily here doing a super hard zag. I don't know how hard it would be. I mean, I don't think that... I'm not saying that you're like, it's a cold take. I think most people... I think you're right, I think is what I'm trying to say. I think most people are like, yeah, outside of that, which was the trade that you were referencing, of course, the trade that fell into his lap. They didn't even ask for Luka, and Rob or Nico was like, what if we did this thing? The fuck? What if we did this thing? What if you gave me Luka Doncic? Oh, I guess. It is very funny. You talk about dumb trades that they have made. We covered it on this show maybe a month or so ago. We did like a sort of a career profile of Kyle Kuzma up to this point in Milwaukee, and just sort of how he got here and like narratively what his career has been. And the thing that fucks with me the most to this day is that Rob had a trade on the table that would have sent Kuzma to Sacramento. It was done. It was reported that it was done. And it was just way better value for the Lakers and whatever they were getting in return. But instead, they sent him to Washington so that they could get Russell Westbrook and get like brownie points with like the media, I guess. Everybody thought that was going to be fun. It sucked. It will go down as like probably the darkest point of Russell Westbrook's career was when everybody was like, this is the most useless player in the NBA. What the fuck is he doing in Los Angeles? And then it like worked in the other Los Angeles, and then now it's worked well in Denver. I don't know. It's also funny to think that we're like 3 months removed from the Luka trade happening, and then they immediately give up way too much shit for Mark Williams. Like, way overpay for Mark Williams. Whatever, I don't know how many seconds or whatever the fuck it was, right? They trade for Mark Williams, a guy who in 3 seasons had played like 100 games. But everybody's like, oh, but, he's a center, and if he can stay healthy. I'm like, right, the guy, if he can stay healthy. We just sat through like 2-3 years of Jared Vanderbilt, just kind of like being there, but like always being in fucking street clothes. He's just always hurt. Let's get another guy who's like, is he going to play in the game? I don't know. The Lakers seemingly hiring an outside consultant who was tasked with failing Mark Williams' physical for whatever reason. Other doctors have come out and been like, he should have passed this. What the fuck happened? The Lakers just kind of nixed that one. They had buyer's remorse, and then they said, nah, we don't really want Mark Williams. And then the series is over, and LeBron is like, just, who cares? Whatever. He's like, motherfucker goes, he was asked a question about the Lakers not having a center, whatever the fuck. And he's like, no comment. And I never say that, but, no comment. And then he proceeds to give a 2-minute long fucking comment about like, hey, the last person who said, my guy AD was the last person who said that this team needs a center. And then a week later, he was traded. So, I'm not going to say anything. Shut up. You're not like anybody else in the NBA who can just say something and then it be so bad that you get traded. You're LeBron James. You're LeBron James. You can do and say and think and act whatever you want, however you want. You're LeBron James. It doesn't matter. You've been publicly and privately pulling strings on your team's personnel for 20 years. Like, very famously, Le GM is a thing. Who fucking cares if you say the obvious thing that we all know, which is the Lakers need a center, right? I think you nailed this email. I think you're right about all of this. And the Luka thing, I don't know. People have soured on Austin Reeves after this series, and people think that his value is just completely shot. It's like the upswing that Jamal Murray has gotten in his value through this series with Denver, it was the complete opposite for Austin Reeves, right? 2 months ago, a popular talking point on Reddit was like, if Austin Reeves had his own team, he'd be an all-star. And here we are now. And those same Redditors would be like, I don't know, I think maybe Dalton Connect has more value. What? Wasn't he involved in the Mark Williams trade originally? I'm 99.9% sure that he was. Insane what's going on there. So I don't know, you've heard some Bam out of bio, you've heard some whatever the fuck. Truly the most unbearable thing, this has nothing to do with Rob Pelinka. The worst thing to me about the fact that the Lakers just lost is you are starting to see a type of person that did not exist a month ago. It never existed until within the last, day or two, since the Lakers were officially eliminated. Folks, they're saying that Nico was right. Don't let this happen. Don't let it happen. I'm not even going to expand on it more. Don't fucking let this happen. Do not ever let anybody rewrite the history that is the Luka Doncic trade. I do not believe that there is anything that could happen that would make this the right decision. You're going to say to me, what if Dallas won a championship 5 years from now? Right? What if they did that? And the Lakers in that same time frame don't win one. I wouldn't care. That's too long. That's too long. 5 years, that's too long. Took him 5 years. If he doesn't do it next year, they were in the finals a year ago. I think the Western Conference Finals the year before that. They were in the play-in this year. Barely in the play-in this year. Won a game, and then I think, was it Memphis that killed them? I don't think they even killed them, but I think it was Memphis that beat them. I'd say they'd be lucky to be in the play-in next year. Maybe I'll be wrong about that. I think we're all hoping that I'm not. And that they get fucked and maybe never win again. Maybe that for the Dallas Mavericks. Don't let them do this. Don't let them do this thing where they're like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, all these blow-bys that Luka's, 9 blow-bys in that game, in that last game against Minnesota. They were hunting him Could that not be a reflection of his conditioning? Something that Nico Harrison very famously had a problem with when it came to Luka Doncic? I don't know. Maybe he had a point. Maybe. No. It was a bad trade. If they win a championship 5 years from now, they will have used the 2029 first-round pick that they got from the Los Angeles Lakers, the only of which that they received in that trade, a 2029 first-round pick. Maybe that'll be a really good player. Maybe it'll be Bryce Maximus James, the youngest son of LeBron James. Maybe. If he stayed like 4 years at Arizona, which would be surprising. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to the show. Oh, this one was crazy. I'm not going to put the picture up on the screen. We said something about stolen valor earlier. Oh, in the 100 guys versus a gorilla thing, how we kind of already did that a year ago. I'm not going to put the tweet up on the screen. You can go verify it yourself if you want. This comes into us from the guy's Twitter account is Rep Beef, R-A-P Beef. One of you guys put this on my radar. Jake, thank you for this. Hey, Nick, they're stealing your flow. Was wanting to send a more elegant, thoughtful first email, but I guess I'll take my internet Paul Revere moment. And he sends me a tweet of this guy who said, Hellen Keller was immune to flashbangs, if you really think about it. He said that on May 1st. What the fuck? Huh? It got 30,000 likes? Huh? Dog, that was, your subject line was word for word, bar for bar. That's my whole thing. Like, they want my rhythm, but not my blues. You know what I mean? The fuck? I couldn't get an HT, a hat tip on that one. HT, TCH, the Coping Hour, the fuck? The digital Paul Revere, president and CEO of Thought Leaders Incorporated. I couldn't get a hat tip. Thanks for the joke. Thanks for the material. Hellen Keller was immune to flashbangs, if you think about it. I did fucking 15 minutes on that a month ago. It's in the name of one of the episodes. One of you needs to... This is one of you. Run me my shit. The little ad money that you're going to get from that tweet, I need that. That's mine. This is stolen valor. I'm calling it out right now. Thank you for putting this on my radar. Because this is fucked up and this is wrong. What else is there? I didn't know if I believed this one. But we're going to read it because it's funny, if it is true. This one comes into us from Brady. The subject line is, I drunkenly rambled about the Coping Hour to a girl at a bar and it got me laid. Hey, Nick. So a couple of weeks ago, I was at an industry-wide event for my job, and the night before the convention there was a cocktail party. I met a girl there, and we really hit it off. After the cocktail party, my friend and I went out to a bar, secondary location, bad idea, with her and her two friends. Whoa, that's a big crew. So this was just, wow, so your friend and I, so the ratio was what? It was you and your boy, so that's two guys, and then her and her two friends. Whoa, okay, so one of them was left out. Oh, the dynamic of that. How bad does that suck if you're the girl who doesn't get picked? You know what I mean? Or if you're the girl that isn't just with the one guy. Because how that would have to work is, I assume you're of an age where you would be, I don't know how to describe this, but there's going to be like one couple, like one guy and one girl who kind of lock in with each other. And like, okay, so this is us. And then I would imagine there's going to, I think I'm just inventing too specific of a scenario, and maybe you even address this. It's a tough ratio, because at least if it's three guys and two girls, and one of the guys gets left out, it's like, well, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just, I don't know how to describe why it's different in my head, but it is. Why don't I just get back to your email? We spent a lot of time together at the bar, but I ended up getting blackout drunk. Still, though, we met up again the next day at the convention and talked some more. She only lives about 40 minutes from me, so she gave me her number, and we planned a real date for next week. The date went great, and we ended up spending the night together afterwards. But the reason I'm sending you this email is because of something she said on the date. Quote, so are you going to tell me more about that basketball podcast? Unquote. I was like, what? And she proceeded to tell me that I spent about 5 minutes talking about a podcast where the main focus is basketball, but also, quote, the guy is really funny and talks about cool conspiracy theories and talks about life in general, and it's a cool audience, unquote. When the words digital Paul Revere came out of this girl's mouth as she looked at me from across the table, my brain completely broke. I have absolutely no memory of saying any of these things to her. I am completely shocked that I did this. Perhaps in my blackout drunk psyche, I am very passionate about the coping hour. Although I don't know if I want to be the kind of guy who explains his favorite podcast to women. But I don't know what got into me. I guess it wasn't a turnoff for her though. We have plans for next week. All the best, Brady. You know, after I read that out loud, I believe that. Yeah, she sounds like a nice girl who doesn't care that you're an idiot. Which is nice, which is good for you. And you already got, you know what I mean? You already sealed the deal, cashed that check. So, can't take that back. So, so even if you are a dumb idiot and she picks up on that, it's like, well, you had sex with me. So who's the dumb idiot now? You know what I mean? It's contagious and now you are a dumb idiot. So, get checked for DI, when you make your next, OGBYN, obstetricianist, gynecologist, OBGYN. Yeah. Yeah, you're a dumb idiot now. Sorry about that. Maybe she's really nice. She sounds really nice. I'm just saying, no, I'm not saying she's a dumb idiot. Well, I guess I am, because I'm saying you said you had sex with her, and that's transmittable through intercourse. So nice. Congrats on the sex. That's cool for you. I'm glad that I could be the vehicle that did that. Because it is a tough look to, it's one thing when it's me who's doing the show. And I'm like, well, it's not that bad. I mean, maybe it is a good show. It's not. It's not different from any other show that you could have possibly explained. Because if you had said any other show, I would have been like, you're a loser. If you had been like, yeah, I was explaining to her numbers on the board. And I was like, yeah, this guy, Kenny, king of the fourth quarter. And that got me laid. I'd be like, you're an idiot. And you shouldn't have told me this story. I don't care about this. You sound like an asshole. Obviously, like Rogan. You said Rogan or something like that. Oh, babe, you gotta listen to Kill Tony. You gotta check this guy out, Cam Patterson. He's gonna be great. So there's this comedian, and he was fired from SNL, but now he does Donald Trump on Kill Tony, and he does Bud Light commercials with Post Malone. That guy, I'd be like, you're an asshole. But because it was the coping hour, I'm like, nice. Yeah, that makes sense that it worked. It makes sense. I mean, this is a sex-positive show. It's gender-affirming. We reference the they-themsters, not a lot, but more than probably any other probably more than most shows that aren't just about, I don't know, gender-affirming. God damn, what a sucky show that would be. Listen to more than one episode of, like, a gender-affirming... No. I don't know. Maybe it would be valuable, I guess, to somebody who is like transitioning and they're on a bunch of like, they're doing HRT or something. And they're dealing with like the changes of a body that they knew that they wanted, but it's just that it's happening. It's the way that it's a weird process to actually go through and to reconcile with. And so having somebody who's maybe lived the experience to sort of talk you through it, I could see that being a valuable experience. I guess that the reason that, it just wouldn't be for me. I clearly can't be bigoted. I am impervious to being bigoted. I can't do it. I tried. And then my empathy just talked me into being like, well, no, I guess it could be valuable. And then I talked myself into being like, yeah, that makes complete sense. I can't be bigoted. I can't do it. Not even for the sake of a joke, because I will just talk myself out of it and I'll just rationalize. I'm just going to make too much goddamn sense. It's hard, folks. It's hard. I think there was one or two more emails, maybe, just to put a bow on that. Yeah, cool, man. Congrats on the sex. Final time. We'll finish on this. This isn't like a specific thing. I just don't know what to do about this, okay? I've been getting a lot of emails in the last month from like parents and wives and sisters and girlfriends about like doing stuff like for somebody in their life. Like, for example, I've gotten 2 invitations to different graduation parties happening in different parts of North Carolina this month. I've gotten both of the invitations like within the last couple of weeks. I got one of them like 2 days ago, right? And it's clearly just from somebody's parents. They're like, oh, come to this guy's graduation party, graduating from like North Carolina A&T on like May whatever. And it's like a digital invitation. And I'm so touched by that. But you know what I mean? Like I can't, you know what I mean? But it just keeps happening. Like I said, there was a different one that was in North Carolina. I got a grad party in Iowa, one in Missouri. I'm like, am I going on tour just like saying what's up to like 20-year-olds? Like they're like not like Make-A-Wish kids, but like I'm just a fucking guy. Dog, if you saw me in real life, you would be like, oh, that's like literally just a guy that you would see anywhere. There's nothing extra, you know what I mean? Like I'm very flattered by it. Or like a wife. Well, or a girlfriend. I just got one of these the other day, right? Like, well, today, as of this taping. So I'm going to be filming like a sort of like a standalone segment for them as like a gift to the boyfriend, I think is what it was. Because she just asked me to. She's like, hey, big fans. It's his birthday. Could you like send us a video or something? And so they didn't ask me to do like a specific segment, but I am just going to send them, I don't know, like a couple minutes of me just being like, hey, you're from Scotland. That's cool. I don't know. And I'm just going to like see where it goes. Just because I'm like, that's such a kind gesture and I would love to. But where I'm going with this is like, I don't know what to do about this. I can't fulfill all of these requests. But I feel so bad saying no. And I've been in communication on like some of them. But I'm like, wait, I'm never going to be the guy who's like on Cameo. But I'm like, oh, is this what it's for? It would be so much easier for me but I'm never going to do that. I'm not going to, what do you want me to do? An appearance fee for the coping hours? No, that's the stupidest shit in the world. Could you imagine that? That's what I'm saying. You go back to that. Sorry, I bumped the mic. If you go back to the beginning of what I said, if you saw me in real life, you're going to be like, oh, on some real like Anakin to General Grievous, you're shorter than I expected. Up here, you probably look at me every day if you watch the show. You're like, this guy's got to be like 6'7" or 6'8". No, I'm like 5'10", 5'11". Like, no. I am, so here's the truth. I am real life 5'11", but I say I'm 5'10". Because if you say you're 5'11", that means you're actually 5'9". And if you say you're 6 foot, which I could just round up the inch, if you say you're 6 foot, that means you're actually like 5'10". You know what I mean? So I say if you're 5'10", you're not going to lie about it. That's just you just kind of are what you are. Especially because if you look at me, you're like, it's probably 5'10". No, I am 5'11". But I say 5'10". Yeah, I don't know. It's very nice that everybody's asking me to do this stuff. I'm saying this, I guess, just to say, you guys can always ask, but I just feel bad. I'm not going to be able to fulfill all of them. And also it's just very over. I can't go to North Carolina. I just don't know, like, what does that look like? What do you want me to do? Because I'm not saying that they're like, oh, come do 15 minutes. We'll get a karaoke mic. Just do 15 minutes in our living room. I'm not saying they're asking that. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I'm not a social person. So unless you have alcohol and I can sit there and like hammer a beer or two and chat with the designated graduation person, the birthday boy or gal or they themster, it's a gender affirming program. Whatever it is, like, that's cool. I don't know. I'm trying to make some, because there's like 5 in Illinois in the next like 6 months, different events and gatherings and shit like that you guys have invited me to. And I've been in contact with like some of you trying to make stuff happen. I've talked to Maddie about it. Like, I'm serious. I'm like, there are some people where some conversations have happened where I'm like, I'll show up. I don't know what it's going to look like, though, because I'm just going to feel bad for being there and being intrusive. And then there's just 100, not even 100, 5 people, 10 people that I just don't know at all. And they don't know me. And they're like, who the fuck is this random guy that just showed up? But this person that we're all here for is excited. I just can't get the relationship of that out of my head. What the fuck does that even mean? I'm going to make some motherfuckers' dreams come true this summer. I'm going to send videos to people having birthdays, significant others having birthdays. I don't know, keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled, ladies and gentlemen, because if you live in Illinois and you need me to show up at an event, I'll do it for free, but you got to really help me out with the schedule because it's going to be hard to make anything happen. Also, I'm not trying to say I have a rider. For those of you not in the entertainment industry, a rider is, a musician is coming to do Jimmy Kimmel Live, right? Or an actor is coming to do an interview. Their agent will send in ahead of time, hey, my client in their green room needs 3 packets of Sour Patch Kids and 2 bottles of Mountain Dew Code Red. That's your rider. It's like the shit that you want. Look, I'm not trying to run up the numbers here and say you have to have beer, but if I'm, you know what I mean? There's got to be something in it for me. And as much as I would love to put a smile on somebody's face just by being there and being around them, if I don't have the beer, I will freak out and I will fuck up the vibes. And I will also, I'm not charging you anything. So the least that you could do is just give me a case. You know what I mean? Some Miller Lite would be preferred. I'll do Miller High Life, champagne of beers. I'll do that. Very recently in Illinois, we can finally buy Yingling. Don't do what's the red one? Is that like the amber one? Don't do that. I'll just take the light beer. No dark and tans, please. I'll get diarrhea. Okay, cool. So keep your eyes peeled. I may show up at your birthday party or your graduation party. It's been more graduation parties than anything, to be honest. So, okay, folks, that's probably it for today. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Apple Podcast, Spotify. I don't know. Spotify. I'm sorry. Apple Podcast. What's up? If you are watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. Make sure to keep primary control in check. And I will catch you guys in the next one.